My name is Valerius Hoss, Warden of Dark Mind Asylum. Welcome to Dark Mind Asylum. Within these walls, we contain individuals whose minds and abilities defy normal comprehension. Today, we examine 3 such subjects. You will hear their complete psychological profiles, past incidents, abilities, and containment measures. Listen carefully, for every detail matters. Dark Mind Asylum. Original Entity Dossier 010. Shatter Point. Classification: Psychoreactive Construct/Cognitive Resonance Entity. Specimen Designation: S.P-01/The Fracture. Status: Extremely Hostile. Location of Retrieval: Abandoned Industrial Complex, Detroit, Michigan. Date of Containment: June 14, 2023. Compiled by Warden Valerius Hoss. Origin Theory. Shatterpoint appears to be a human-adjacent entity formed from extreme cognitive trauma and spatial perception collapse. Experimental notes suggest it originated as a failed psychological manipulation test involving sleep deprivation and sensory overload. Subject may be a product of subconscious projection given physical form through unknown psychophysical amplification. 2. Physical description. Height: 6 feet 6 inches upright. Weight: unknown. Appears partially insubstantial. Appearance: fractured body, as if segmented by invisible stress planes. Limbs elongated and joint angles unnatural. Can bend 180 degrees in some segments. Skin appears translucent with faint glows at stress points. Eyes: deep void black, reflecting nearby light in fractured shards. 3. Behavioral profile. Movement: appears telekinetic. Limbs can extend unnaturally without corresponding motion. Aggression: reactive to noise, sudden light, and movement. Prefers to attack from impossible angles. MBTI, INTPT, the logician, abstract, analytical, detached from emotional reality, lives inside conceptual and theoretical structures, prone to extreme overthinking, dissociation, and internal complexity. Fits perfectly with his multidimensional cognition enneagram. Type 5W4, the iconoclastic observer. Withdrawn, intellectual. Secretive, obsessed with understanding how reality works. The 4-wing adds strangeness, individuality, and existential intensity. Cognition: highly intelligent, seems to understand architectural weaknesses, may manipulate hallways to trap personnel. Psychological effect: observation causes acute vertigo, fragmented perception, and mild hallucinations. Abilities: dimensional fracture manipulation, can create temporary rifts or fractures, jagged, glass-like distortions that cut reality itself. Anything touching them is sliced or displaced. Cognitive duplication can split his consciousness into 3 to 12 active threads, allowing him to predict movement, act twice simultaneously, or react before a target attacks. Fracture blink: short-range teleportation accompanied by cracking sound, leaving behind floating shards of translucent dimensional residue. Temporal echoing: when severely agitated, past and future versions of himself flicker into reality for moments. Capture: Shatterpoint was contained after a 3-hour breach event in which he fractured entire blocks of the abandoned research facility, killing a dozen mercenaries hired to intercept him. Containment was only possible after a prototype chronal stabilizer was activated, temporarily suppressing his fracture abilities. High-frequency resonance emitters disrupted his cognitive multi-threading. He became overwhelmed by his own temporal echoes and collapsed. Upon sedation, Shatterpoint whispered, "I knew you'd catch me. I watched it happen days ago." 4. Containment. Sector: Dimensional Stabilization Wing D2. Primary cell: reinforced fractal panels, vibration dampeners, light nullification lamps. Weaknesses: bright uniform lighting destabilizes movement. Reflective surfaces temporarily confuse perception. V. Warden Hoss Observation Log. Shatterpoint is not simply hostile, it is architecture made flesh. Every angle of its body is a trap, every motion a fracture in reality. to observe, it is to doubt your own vision. Dark Mind Asylum. Original Entity Dossier 011. Artifex. Classification: Psychogenic Humanoid/Artistic Obsession Manifestation. Specimen Designation: AFX-01/The Connoisseur. Status: Containment Critical. Highly Unstable. Location of Retrieval: Villa Abandoned Art School, Florence, Italy. Date of Containment: November 18, 2022. Compiled by Warden Valerius Hoss. Origin Theory. Artifex appears to be a human-like entity with extreme obsessive-compulsive tendencies regarding art creation. Possible origin: prolonged sensory deprivation combined with chemical exposure, experimental hallucinogens, during early life. Evidence suggests subject elevates aesthetic appreciation to lethal extremity. 2. Physical description. Height: 6 feet 1 inch. Weight: 190 pounds. Appearance: human-like, pale, gaunt. Hands elongated, ideal for fine manipulations. Eyes: glassy, almost reflective black pupils with faint amber rim. Wears shredded remnants of artist clothing, stained with various pigments. Mouth often smeared with paint. Teeth unusually sharp, capable of precise carving actions. 3. Behavioral profile. Obsession: creates art compulsively, often using staff, containment materials, or captured subjects. Movement: graceful, silent, appears to float when hunting or observing. MBTI, INFJA, the visionary. Creative, idealistic, intense inner world, powerful aesthetic intuition, can become manipulative or extremist when their vision is threatened. Fits his poetic, symbolic, obsessive artistic psychology enneagram. Type 4W3, the dramatic individualist, identity-driven, obsessed with meaning, beauty, and uniqueness, charismatic and theatrical. The 3-wing explains his performance style and desire for an eternal masterpiece. Psychology personality traits: charismatic, obsessive, dramatic. Speaks poetically, treats violence as art. Fixates on symmetry and composition. Sees every room and every person as a blank canvas. Motivations: to create the eternal masterpiece, a final work so perfect it transcends reality. Behavior patterns: sketches constantly, even with no tools. Fingers mimic brush strokes in the air. Comments on lighting, angles, colors of rooms. Smiles calmly even in extreme violence. Abilities: aesthetic realignment, can rearrange objects, materials, and organic tissue to fit artistic vision. Psychogenic freeze: temporarily halts victims in posed positions like mannequins. Color drain: pulls color from environments, turning rooms monochrome, which enhances his power. Framing distortion: creates invisible frames in the air. Stepping into one traps victims within a frozen tableau. Capture: Artifex was apprehended after a 43-hour SWAT standoff at an abandoned theater where he attempted to create a living gallery of 27 hostages. His downfall came when the tactical team activated blackout conditions, disrupting his color-based power. Flashbangs overloaded his sensory focus. Snipers shattered his mask, breaking his concentration long enough for sedation. His final words before being dragged out: "You cannot cage beauty, but I suppose even a masterpiece needs a frame." Cognition: genius-level understanding of composition, perspective, and emotional manipulation. Psychological effect: exposure triggers obsessional thoughts and staff. Subtle compulsion to touch objects, mimic gestures. 4. Containment. Sector: Artisan Wing B4. Cell: low-light gallery style with unbreakable walls. Security: non-lethal sedation, constant surveillance. Weaknesses: exposure to incomplete works or chaotic stimuli triggers aggression. Calm environment reduces violence. V. Warden Hoss observation log. Artifex does not merely attack, it critiques. Every action, every strike, every movement is for the sake of creation. Do not underestimate the obsession. It is patient and methodical. Dark Mind Asylum. Original Entity Dossier 012. Luminark. Classification: Bioluminescent/photoreactive entity. Specimen designation: LM-01/ the fluorescent shadow. Status: containment critical. Highly unstable. Location of retrieval: abandoned Tokyo Electronics Factory. Date of containment: January 29th, 2023. Compiled by Warden Valerius Hoss. I. Origin theory. Luminark is theorized to be a human analog entity whose epidermis and internal organs evolved natural bioluminescence. Fluorescent lights trigger neural overstimulation, producing erratic physical and cognitive responses. Possible origin: clandestine cyberbiological experiment with photoreactive nanostructures, merged with residual human subjects. 2. Physical description. Height: 6 feet 3 inches. Weight: 185 pounds. Appearance: skin, dark purple-blue, translucent in low light. Veins glow faintly under artificial light. Bioluminescent markings flash erratically in presence of fluorescent lighting. Eyes: large, reflective, with photoreceptor expansion. Pupils slit in high light. Hair: sparse, silver blue, reacts to electrical current and fluorescent flicker. Limbs: slender, with semi-translucent tissue, capable of stretching for brief bursts. 3. Behavioral profile. Aggression, triggered by flickering or strong fluorescent light, can emit pulses of light to disorient or blind observers. MBTI, ENFPT, the turbulent catalyst. Hypersensory, spontaneous, chaotic energy, childlike curiosity. Emotionally volatile, easily overstimulated and driven by instinct. Matches his light addiction and manic behavior perfectly. Enneagram, type 7W6, the frenzied enthusiast, avoids fear through stimulation. Seeks constant novelty and sensory overload. Panic in isolation or darkness. The sixth wing adds anxiety and dependence on external stimuli. Light. Psychology personality traits. Unpredictable, volatile. Speaks in fragmented, buzzing sentences. Obsession with light sources. Displays childlike curiosity mixed with violent outbursts. Mental instability. Severe sensory overload due to perpetual light resonance. Cannot tolerate darkness. Becomes panicked. Erratic, becomes lethal if overstimulated by too many lights at once. Quotes collected from containment logs. Lights speak. They scream when you switch them off. Darkness eats me, so I must eat it first. Abilities. Fluorescent photokinesis. Manipulates fluorescent and neon lighting with godlike precision. Light harvesting absorbs luminescent energy to supercharge physical capabilities. Spectral beams. Fires cutting beams of concentrated purple-white light. Neon phase drift becomes incorporeal around strong artificial lights. Photonic overload, large-scale electrical bursts that melt metal and blind targets. V. Capture. Luminark required a joint federal blackout operation. He was located in an abandoned mall. He had turned into a massive neon cathedral, lighting every room with thousands of jury-rigged fluorescent tubes. Teams cut all power in the district as specialized dark ops squads deployed reflective suits. Optical dampeners reduced visible wavelength exposure. EMP grenades disrupted his energy field. Cryofoam suppressed overheating photonic bursts. Luminark screamed as he was forced into darkness. No. Don't take the light. I can't. He collapsed, convulsing, before being sedated. Cognition. above human intelligence, capable of pattern recognition, environmental manipulation, and tactical retreat. Psychological effect. Human exposure to fluorescent illumination near subject induces vertigo, migraines, and visual hallucinations. 4. Containment. Sector: Luminescent Suppression Wing L3. Cell: Darkened room with controlled ambient light. Security: Motion sensors, anti-fluorescent dampening grids, reinforced walls. Weaknesses: Artificial fluorescent lights induce erratic movement, stress, and uncontrolled luminescent flares. Preferred environment: dimly lit, low UV zones with deep blue ambient lighting. V. Warden Hoss Observation Log. Luminark moves as a shadow of light itself. Fluorescent illumination is its torment and its weapon. It watches, pulses, and waits, using light as both disorientation and communication. Do not approach its domain unprepared. These three subjects and unique individuals represent only a fraction of what resides within Dark Mind Asylum. Each mind is a story. Each story is a warning. Each gift is a curse. Our observation continues. Our containment is absolute, and the unknown, ever present. These patients inhabit a world between fear and understanding, a delicate balance maintained by our observation and control. Here at Dark Mind Asylum, the extraordinary becomes documented, the dangerous becomes contained, and the mind, both human and beyond, remains under scrutiny. As new file episodes continue, you will witness the evolution of this reality, the layers of their ability, and the everlasting of continuity. Join us next time as we delve further into the darkness.